You're here because you're nosy, and it's a story time. So, this is my birthing story, I guess. There she is. Okay, so I have my little notes because during when I gave birth, it was just like, it was a lot. So I have my notes, and if I grab my coffee, excuse me because I'm just tired. Do you like my scrunchie? Fran made it for me. Anyhow, so I had Bree April 6th of 2020. She was actually 37 weeks early. I just hit 37 weeks the day before I had her. So she was pretty much not even like 37 weeks. So she was pretty much like 36 weeks. Anywho, so I had my first internal exam. That was Thursday the 2nd. The doctor told me that I was fine, that I was just 1 centimeter dilated, which you kind of imagine to be in your 8th month, you know. So I was 1 centimeter. Doctor said I was fine, but I had mentioned to him that I kind of felt like I was leaking. I wasn't feeling pads or anything, but I just felt uncomfortable. Like it felt different. Like, and my stomach dropped drastically. I might show a picture of it, but I'm a little embarrassed because I was fat. But my stomach dropped like a lot, and it jiggled. Usually around 8-9 months, your stomach is really hard. It was squishy. Like, I walked and I like felt it jiggling at the bottom, and I was like, something's not right. I mentioned it. The doctor was like, no, you're fine. Okay, so that was Thursday the 2nd, and then Friday I lost my plug right after my internal exam. Yeah, crazy, I know. So he said during my appointment, he said I was 1 centimeter. The baby's head was down, but she wasn't like far enough to deliver yet. So I'm like, okay. But then the next day I lose my plug, and I'm like, I just had an internal exam. Did he scrape me too hard? Like, I'm just in my head like, what happened? Anyway, Sunday comes along. I'm in the bathroom. I'm watching like murder shows, like snap shows on Hulu. That's besides the point. But I'm like doing my makeup, and I'm like, oh, something is not right. Something is not right. I think I'm having full-fledged contractions, and I was. But I didn't realize it until the next day. Anyway, so all that Sunday, if you hear Brie, I mean, she's 8 months, you're gonna hear her. But on Sunday, 9 a.m. I woke up earlier than I usually do. I hadn't been waking up that early yet, but I woke up around 9, and I called my mom. I texted my sister, asked her, what do I do? I think I'm having contractions. And they both basically just told me to take it easy. I called my mom, text my sister. Did I call my sister? No, I texted. And then I called my mom. My mom was like, what? Of course, because she wants the baby to come. She's grandma. But I was like, I don't know. Like, it's tolerable. So, real contractions, you would think you can't do anything. That whole Sunday, I cooked. I was walking around the house. I was taking it easy than I usually do, but I just had the urge to be in that kind of child's play position where you're like lean forward and butt up in the air. That was my position literally that whole day. I was contracting, no joke, 20 minutes apart from Sunday 9 a.m. till about Monday midnight. No, till about midnight Sunday. So from 9 a.m. to midnight, I was contracting all day, girl. All day. I'm in the refrigerator trying to hand my oldest some Parmesan cheese because I made food, and I'm like, hold on. Okay, here you go. Like, that's where I was. I had also called the hospital and I was like, can I take a bath? Because I had the urge to take a bath. And that's because I was in labor. Like, I wanted to soothe my pain. She said no, because she was like, if you are in labor, we won't know if your water broke. Okay, cool. So, I'm around midnight, I'm like, you know what, I think I should start counting these, because I couldn't sleep and I was in that same position all night every time I felt a contraction. So I started timing them around like 3 a.m. and from 3 a.m. that's when they became like 10 minutes apart. So from 3 a.m. to about the time we left, they were 10 minutes apart. But they got harder. So that's when I needed to call. And I called and they were like, because of COVID, we really want your contractions to be at least 5 minutes apart. 5 minutes apart? What do you mean? I'm in pain. So from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday, I'm in the bed. I made Marquise sleep out in the living room because I was just in pain, and I was like, I felt like I was gonna, just be annoying all night. And I was, because I was contracting all night, 20 to 10 minutes apart. So I'm up. I didn't sleep at all since Sunday. Keep that in mind. I didn't eat. I had maybe a sandwich, but I couldn't even finish my sandwich. But so I woke up, I called them around maybe 5 a.m., 6 a.m. and they told me, okay, since you're in so much pain, you can't come here, but we don't want to have to turn you around. And because of COVID, they really didn't want me to be there until I was like ready. So I get up, and one of the nurses tells me, since you're still 10 minutes apart, when I called, she was like, try walking around, that'll help your labor. So I was walking around the bedroom, around the bed, around and around, stopping for contractions. And then finally I was like, you know what, we gotta go. I didn't call them back. I was like, I need to go. We need to go. So that was around 8, 9. I text Marquise. He just went for a run. And I'm like, where are you? So I think he kind of knew, like, okay, we need to go. So I take a shower, and I'm in the shower. Like, I'm still having 10 minutes apart contractions, and this time they're harder. I'm taking a shower. I ain't finna go in the hospital stinking. Like, what? No. I didn't get to do my makeup. I really wanted to do my makeup, but I didn't. Just because I felt like it was getting closer and closer. Like, something did not feel right. I wasn't bleeding or anything. I kept checking. Like, nothing was leaking yet. Hard. But so I take a shower. Marquise comes in here and he's like, and I'm like, just get the stuff, take it to the car. So he's still in his jogging. I think he even still like didn't even take a shower. He didn't take a shower because we had to just go. So he's in his jogging stuff. I think he changed though. He takes everything, goes to the car. I calmly go to my oldest and I'm like, you know what, I think you're gonna be staying with grandmommy. I think we're gonna have to go to the hospital. During this time I'm super calm, so nobody can tell I'm in labor. Like, I'm in active labor. I'm trying to put on my clothes, putting on my underwear, like waiting, going through it. So we're on the 3rd floor. I make it to the car, get to the car. As soon as I get to the car, I contract. We take my daughter to my parents, and on the way to the hospital from my parents, that's when I felt them. That's when I was like, okay, I'm glad we're going, because I feel like I took a blanket or a towel just in case I broke my wires in the car. So we get to the hospital. He parks, grabs the bags. No, he doesn't grab the bags yet, I don't think. No, he didn't, because I was like, just leave the bags in just in case they tell us to come home. We go in, of course it's COVID. They're like, stop, stop. Are you supposed to be here? I'm like, I got a mask on, dude. I'm about to blow. Hold on, we have to check your temperature. And I'm like, can you hold on, because I'm having a contraction. Just wait till this contraction leaves. All right, take my temperature. I go over to the table. They're like, honey, are you supposed to be here? Did you call? Let me call down to labor and delivery. And I'm like, at this point, I'm about to start crying, because I'm like, I need to have the baby. Like, I'm about to blow. I don't feel good. I don't feel right. So we get in there. They wheel me in. As soon as I get to labor and delivery, the lady's like, you can't have the wheelchair. Get up. We want you to walk. Then you might want to take your time with me, filling out paperwork while contracting. Marky's just trying to help me, but he doesn't really know my information yet like that, so they're asking me questions. I'm like, if you're in labor, you know what I mean. If you've ever had a baby or whatever, it's like you're in pain and someone's trying to talk to you. Like, it's literally like you're in pain and someone's trying to talk to you about your paperwork. I don't want to know about my paperwork. I want to get the baby out of me if it's gonna come out. So we go in. They tell me to, take from here down off. I do that. Actually, they tell me to take everything off, and I do that in the bathroom. And while I'm in the bathroom, I had to go. So I did. I finally started actually bleeding, like, a lot. So I was like, ooh, came out, and they checked me, and she's like checking me. She's like, oh, you're 6 centimeters. And I'm like, thank God I made it here, because I probably wouldn't have been able to have an epidural. 6 centimeters, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was almost there, dog. So they take my BP, and the lady's looking at me, and she takes it again, and she's looking at me, and she's like, this machine's old. What do you mean the machine's old? She takes it again, and then she says, your blood pressure is really, really high. We're gonna take you back. So they take me back, and they wheel me over to labor and delivery. They get me into labor and delivery. They asked me if I wanted the epidural, and I'm like, please hurry up and give it to me before you say I can't have it. They gave me the epidural. No, before they gave me the epidural, the nurses, it was like a crap ton of them. They all came in masks, the whole headgear, everything. So like, at this time, it's just really eerie. It feels like a scary movie. It feels like I'm giving birth in like freaking containment. Dang it. Like, it was weird. The doctor comes in, and he's got on his gear, and I'm just like, this is so not personal, but like, I mean, I get it. We had our masks on still. So while this is going on, I still have my mask on. I think the nurse was new, or a newer nurse. She sticks me in the same spot like 3 times. I'm not even kidding you. I'll probably insert a picture of my bruise that lasted me 6 weeks. Oh, I can't find the vein, honey. I can't find the vein. And I'm like, can you stick it in my hand at this point? Because baby, there are veins there. Like, no, we don't do that here. Okay, whatever. So she's finding my vein, and she finally finds a vein, and it just hurts because it was already like bruised. Ugh. Anyway, they put the cuff on me, and they're still like, oh, your blood pressure's really high. They give me the epidural. They come in, give me the epidural. And then the doctor comes in, and he checks me before I get my epidural, and he's like, you know what, we're gonna go. No, he didn't break my water yet, but he checks me, and he's like, yeah, you're 6. So he was like, you want to get your epidural? Got it. So I get it. He comes in, and he's like, they switched doctors. So at first it was the doctor that told me I was fine that Thursday, that nothing had happened. Whatever. Besides the point. And then the other doctor comes in, who me and Marquise loved. He had the best attitude and was just super, super sweet. So he comes in, and he breaks my water, and they, start me on my like drips and everything. I think they even gave me Pitocin to try and speed it up, because I was contracting, but I was stuck, I guess. So they give me like the peanut ball. I'm on the peanut ball, and my blood pressure at this point is still high. It hasn't changed. So the nurses mentioned, they're like, oh God, you're gonna have to do the magnesium drip if your blood pressure doesn't go down, but we're, you know, hoping it does go down, because you're gonna feel horrible if you have to do that, and it's just, we don't like doing it because you just feel that bad. And magnesium drip is like magnesium sulfate into your body, aka bath salts. Hold on, cause girl, look, la 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 la. Can you see that? What that? What? The bath salts. I'll go grab my bath salts to show you if you want. So mention, while they're checking me and everything, because you know they keep coming in checking, they're like, oh, your platelets in your last lab were a little low, like how, just kept asking me how I was feeling, and I'm like, I feel okay, I feel like I'm in labor, like I don't feel comfortable, I just want to hurry up and get this done, you know. You just keep asking you, how are you doing, blah blah blah. The doctor comes in and he mentions a C-section, and I literally almost lost my crap. Marquise is looking at me like, and I'm looking at him like, I don't want it. I don't want to do a C-section. I mentioned it to the nurse. She's, I know it's not in your birth plan. I'm not doing a C-section. I ain't doing it, shorty. Oh, and you just mentioned my platelets were low. I don't know if they thought, because I'm covered and without makeup, I look about 12. So, and they kept saying it too afterwards, like, you look so young. How old are you? This is your second? Yes, I'm grown. Anyway, so as soon as they mentioned the C-section, I felt useless. And I know a lot of women say that. And they also tell you not to feel that way, but you just feel like, man, what is wrong with my body? What happened, body? Like, girl, we be lifting. Like, we be lifting. We be drinking green juices. We pescatarian. What happened? Why is your blood pressure up so high? It's never been this high. The last time they took my blood pressure, you know, before pregnancy, they were like, it's really low. Like, that's usually where I was at. Anyway, so I just feel like crap. The doctor comes in and he's like, you know, we might have to do a C-section. And I'm like, he's like, you know what? He checks me. He's like, you know what? We're gonna have to do a C-section. He leaves the room. Not even 10 minutes later, he comes back in after checking me. He checks me, like I said. 10 minutes he leaves, few minutes he comes back. So when he comes back, he's in his C-section gear. Everybody's putting on their gear and they're about to give Marquise his stuff. And so he's talking to me about the C-section procedure and all that, and I blank out. It was like just a veil over me, and I didn't hear anything. It felt like I was underwater, and I prayed. And I was like, Lord, you know this is not in my plan. I don't know if you're religious. I don't care if you're religious, but I just prayed. I said, Lord, this is not in my plan. Please, Lord, let me just give birth normally. Let me just do this. I can do this. Soon as I'm like, I just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. He's talking. I don't hear him. I literally didn't hear. I don't even remember what he said. As soon as he was in, like, I felt like I was in a fog. I feel the baby come down. The baby came down. He just checked me 10 minutes before. I'm like, I stopped. He's talking, and I stopped him, and I'm like, I'm ready. He was like, I just checked you. We're gonna go. I'm like, I know, I'm ready. So I was like this, and I was like, no, I can push. He checks me, and he's like, whoa, the head's there. I'm ready. He's like, all right. He starts grabbing everything and he's okay. They put the sheet over me. The ladies are like pulling me down. They're like, you know what to do. And I'm, yeah. Pull my legs up. Marquise is like, he can't even breathe. He's like looking at me like, wait, you ready? What do you mean you're ready? We were about to like, 33 seconds. Boop. She's out. She's so tiny. Like, I didn't even, it didn't feel, she didn't feel like real. Just tiny. Usually when you have a baby, like you feel like it's a little heavy. She was tiny, 6 pounds, 15 ounces. She came out, and they put her on me, you know, and after they put her on me, they brought her over and checked her. Her temperature was 93. 93. I don't really know what that means, but it's not good. So she comes over, they let me hold her for a little bit. They're still checking my BP. The doctor's still down there, you know, about to pass my placenta, help me pass my, they let me nurse her for a little bit, and I nurse her for a little bit, and then they take her back. She cried, but she was just really like slow moving, really quiet. They bring in like the little incubator thing and they take her, and I never see my baby be taken away from me in the little incubator thing. Like, I think that was what it's called. Or is that what they put birds in? Okay, take her to NICU. Mind you, all that's going on in my head, I wasn't supposed to have a baby today. They take her to NICU. My blood pressure's high. COVID's going on. Where's my mom? Marquise is speechless. Even when they pulled her out, because I didn't know what I was having, they pulled her out and they were like, what is it? And Marquise is like looking like, the doctor was like, a girl. Like, that's how just in a fog and like in a daze we were. It was like I was like a mummy, like just walking. So the doctor is, you know, stitching me up. They take her away and they're looking at my placenta. The doctor mentions that they don't know where my point of like where my bag busted at. They the doctor mentioned that the cord was around her neck and her fluid was low, and he said to me, he was looking at me and he said, if you hadn't have had her today, she probably wouldn't have made it. But buddy 3 days ago said I was fine. Let me repeat that. The doctor said she wouldn't have made it. Buddy said 3 days ago, the guy that would have delivered her if I'd came maybe an hour earlier, said I was fine. Blood pressure's still high, so I'm still in the labor and delivery, or yeah, labor and delivery. At this point, I start to feel it. Like, I feel drunk, really dizzy. I can't see. My vision is really slow. So I start the magnesium drip. I'm on the magnesium drip. They have the cuff on me. They have to check my blood pressure every hour. Every hour, this blood pressure cuff is going off. My arm was sore when I left the hospital. I know they have to do that, but it hurt, dog, it hurt. Still have my catheter in, I can't move, I'm on the bed. At this point I blank out. I tell Marquise, you know, to go see the baby. I'm in my zone, trying to focus, trying to calm myself. I have my face mask. I have put my headphones on. For 24 hours, I'm on a magnesium drip. I haven't eaten for 36 hours. And you're pumping me with medicine. Ugh. Like, thinking about it, it's like taking a vitamin on an empty stomach. Like, that's how I felt. Like, what? Like, I could just what? In any second. They take me off the magnesium. My blood pressure's still high. I'm just like, it was like I was in a car wreck. Everything hurt. Still couldn't see anything. They take me off the drip. Immediately after they take me off the drip, they drain me for an hour, I believe, with fluids to drain the magnesium. Then they start giving me blood pressure pills. You just injected me with bath salt. Now you're gonna give me blood pressure pills. Not just one, because that one didn't work. So now we gotta try another one, because that one didn't work. So now we gotta try another one, because that one didn't work. So now we gotta try another one, because that didn't work. This is within hours of each other. This isn't like, oh, we'll see if this works for about 5 hours. It was an hour, another hour, another hour, another hour. Somewhere in between there, I had an allergic reaction, and I was gonna lose it. So I tell the nurse, in between there, I felt like I'm calling my family and stuff, but I don't, like, it felt like I had blacked out. It felt like somebody took a bag and put it over my head and was squeezing it. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. And I was literally talking like this. Like, I'm asking the nurse, could you help me because I can't breathe? And she tells me, she hands me a box of tissues and tells me to blow my nose. I tell the nurse I can't breathe. She tells me to blow my nose. It's probably my allergies. What? I take all the tissues out of that bad boy, and I'm just still can't breathe. Karen, literally Karen. So I'm like, can you give me a Benadryl or something, because I'm having an allergic reaction. I know my body. Oh, honey, you're okay, but you know, I'll go for you. She leaves. It's about an hour. I still can't breathe. I'm sitting in that room like this for an hour. I'm asking Marquise, are my eyes moving slow? Can you tell if my eyes are moving slow? Am I talking funny? And he's, you know, like, he's like, at this point. So, the doctor finally comes in, and then the nurse comes in after the doctor. And I tell the doctor, I feel like I'm having an allergic reaction. While I'm talking to the doctor, the nurse is like, oh, well, we're checking her levels, like, she can breathe, you know, like, on the screen it says she can breathe. And I wanted to slap the crap out of her. You can breathe, you're fine, honey, just calm down. I look at the doctor and I'm like, can you give me a Benadryl? I can't breathe. The doctor gives me a Benadryl. I immediately feel better. Anyway, they finally found a blood pressure medicine that is at least doing something that the other ones weren't doing. They let me eat something, aka broth and liquids. As soon as I eat it, I puke it back up, because I was that hungry that I inhaled it, and then it came right back up. They still have me on like fluids draining me, and then finally they take out my catheter. Mind you, this is still like within the 36 hours. We had been here almost a whole day and some change. I'm still in labor delivery. My butt hurts. My body hurts. They have the things on my legs. They have the cuff on me. It's been on me for 36 hours. And they finally take my catheter out after all that time. I had slept in there, and then this was around nighttime that I finally was able to leave that room. They let me go see Bree, but they have me in the wheelchair because I'm still really weak from the magnesium. Like, if I get up, it's like wobble central, and I hadn't been on my legs for 36 hours, so after an epidural. So they take me and let me go see her. I go see her, and at this point, I didn't even I couldn't hold her for that long, but I just cried because I hadn't seen her, like, my baby. Oh, super tiny. They were giving her formula because I didn't have anything, and I couldn't. at that point. So they finally take me up to my suite. We're in my suite. Still blood pressure's still high, but the nurses are a lot nicer when I'm in my suite too. So, and then at that point they let me like go and see her whenever I wanted to in the NICU, which was way better. It felt way better. They discharge us. I don't know, but it was a really bad storm that day on the way home from the hospital, like tornado warning. Terrified. Anyway, so we get home with her. We're fine. Everything's fine. My blood pressure is still crazy. She doesn't latch. She hadn't really latched since the first time in the hospital, since she'd been put on. They gave me like a nipple thingamabob, and it didn't really work. So I'm frustrated with that. I can't, like, I'm like, oh God, please let her latch. She finally latches, and the day she latches, I'm like screaming at Marquise, like, she latched from the bedroom. I was giving her formula on top of my milk because I wasn't also producing a lot. At first I was. It was like a week of me producing beautifully. And then after that, I think the stress and everything got to me. I don't know. I wouldn't say it was postpartum. I would say more baby blues, because I still was able to actually want to be around her. It was just, I was sad at the situation that I had been through. I was mad at my body. I was mad at the situation with like the nurse, and just having to still be on blood pressure medicine until about 6 weeks. And then that's when literally my milk really stopped, was around like 6-7 weeks. So that sucked. But we did give her formula. Also, I noticed that when she was in the hospital, her blood pressure went right back up, or her temperature went right back up. Like, she was only 93. It was only 93 for a little bit, and then it went up. And even the doctor, her doctor was like, I was amazed that they told me what her temperature was when she was born. They got it up, but they told me not to have her wear hats because they wanted her to raise her body temperature on her own. They didn't want anything to raise it for her, if that makes sense. So yeah, the doctor was really cool. Like, her pediatrician, who we really like, was also Kylie's doctor, and that's why I wanted her for Brie. Weeks, I noticed she was breathing funny, and I'm like, Lord, like, that's too what happened, like, with my milk. I'm stressing about that because she started breathing funny, like it was scary. This little thing, not even 10 pounds, not even 5 pounds, breathing like her chest is like contracting, like it just looked wrong with her. Like, what did I do? I'm blaming it on being vegetarian during my pregnancy. Like, I'm like, because you blame yourself as a mom. Like, you don't mean to, but it happens. Seeing her in the NICU like that with the machines and hooked up in the, like, I literally can still hear the beeping. And it just gets me every time. Like, I just, But she was breathing funny, and I called the doctor. The doctor was like, is she choking? I'm like, not really. Is she blue? No. Is she able to eat? Yes. She's fine. Okay. So the next appointment that I take her to was her 1 month, and the doctor mentions laryngomalacia, and that is, in layman's terms, a flappy airway. So because she was early, that was what was wrong with her developmentally. Like, her lungs were a little underdeveloped. Not really underdeveloped, they just were on their way. Like, it's still developing. It won't fully be developed for her until she's like 18 months. So she still has that weird breathing problem, but I thought, like, what is this? It was scary. She would choke a lot, so we had to have her on preemie bottles. And then she just, got up to 6-month bottles not too long ago, because she finally can, she knows what to do with her, like, eating. But it was hard because she I noticed she had a lot of reflux, and certain formulas were too heavy because she becomes constipated, and it was just a lot. So that was different, finding out that she had that. I wouldn't even say has it, because it's like, how do you know? You know, you can't see her lungs. But she's gotten a lot better. Like, her weird little noise, I used to, like, if I didn't hear that noise, I know she was asleep. She's growing. She's just a little thing. She's still in, like, she's not even in like the 90 percentile. She's tiny, but she is growing. I really want to have more, but I'm scared because of my blood pressure. I don't know if I'm gonna have preeclampsia. They didn't even diagnose me. They didn't diagnose me with preeclampsia. One nurse said it was preeclampsia. One nurse said it was pregnancy-induced blood pressure. One said hypertension. I'm like, okay, can somebody tell me what's going on with me? My sister had mentioned help, and I'm like, what was it? Nobody, even after my 6-month appointment, when they finally stopped me with my blood pressure medicine, they didn't tell me what it was. The doctor was like, oh yeah, it is preeclampsia. Okay, well then why didn't anybody tell me that in the hospital? Will it happen again? Yeah, it will. Okay. So is there anything I can do to offset, you know, having high blood pressure? No. Okay. So that, you know, that was like, okay, I don't know if I want to have any more kids. I do, but I don't know. Like, I want to have a specialist. I need to, you know, have a black doctor who's going to listen to me, because this all could have been avoided. Like, that's my birthing story. And that's the only reason why you're here, because you nosy. You was trying to find out what's going on. No, I'm just kidding. Not everybody's birthing story is like this. Not everybody's birthing story is beautiful. You know? That's just where I'm at right now. If you want to hear more story times, let me know. I probably just will put up story times anyway, because I have a very interesting life, and there's some stories that need to be told. Okay? But like and subscribe, and I will be back in another video for Vlogmas or just vlogging, because Lord knows I'm not good at Vlogmas.